Looks like it. Good evening, everyone. We'll be starting shortly.
We were ready to start on time, but we didn't come out.
Yeah.
There are people that count on.
We were too busy getting lectured about our snacks this evening.
Garbage. Eating garbage food.
It's not garbage. We have ice cream, chocolate, Fanta. I think our audio's on. If anybody can hear me, just let me know in the chat. We'll have the video on soon.
Check. Check. Write me a check. Come on, Fred.
Just a second. My program updated and I'm not familiar with the way things are laid out now. Okay, there it is. Camera's on.
Cameras on?
We are live, everybody.
We are?
Yep.
As in, let's start.
Let's get going. We're good to go.
You're messy.
Huh?
You're messy.
I've been working.
All right.
Hi, folks. We good? We
Chips.
where? How's my makeup? Can we go?
Yeah, we're live. Go.
Hi, folks. Welcome. This is number 11 or 12? 11. Number 11. So, quick little bit of housekeeping. We do this as a fundraiser for our Purple Heart Project. That's where we're bringing combat wounded veterans and treat them to a week of hand-to woodworking. We just notified the 14 vets that will be here in October. We have one class starting on October 7th, one on October 14th. Fantastic group. There's only one guy I haven't gotten a chance to speak to yet. But just great. PJ, I'm looking forward to it. He's awesome. You read their stories and you think, how can these guys are still alive? But anyway, we always need your help. We need your help finding other vets. And, of course, we can always use your financial help. So if you think this is worth it, throw us $10. It all goes towards either covering their airfare, their hotel, their meals, or part of putting together a package of about $2,500 US worth of tools that we send each vet home with. So you're welcome. And we fixed our donation page. So you can now go on RobCosman.com under the PHP section where it says donate, and you can either do a monthly, recurring, or you can do a one-time, whatever. And then there's right down to what's the minimum month? 10? 10. T-shirts, wood is good. Has our logo on the other side. I'm not going to turn it around because it'll fall down. Anybody buys a T-shirt, we'll give you a quick shout-out. Anybody makes a donation, we'll give you a quick shout-out. And Joseph, my good friend living in Seattle, has agreed that he will match any donation up to $500. So let him. And his son kicked in his 25, which is his allowance. Good kid. Anything else? We've got a lot of work to do tonight, so I'm going to try to make this brief. So here's what we're going to make. This is a step stool. A dovetailed step stool. I thought, why don't we start a series where we'll do things with wood that you can buy at a home center. So we're going to use pine right off the shelf. We're going to cut the dovetails on an angle. Now, I was tasked with the idea of how are we going to stiffen this up? But you know what? The dovetail, that many dovetails is plenty strong enough. There was a little bit of flex because it's 3/4 stock. And I think I found a better way to do it than what I did here. This was the easiest way. It's just glue on 2 cleats on either side. But I'm going to put a single cleat on the underside that'll just stiffen it this way. But the dovetail has got to be strong enough. I'm going to close the angle a little bit. Now you'll notice that it's splayed. And the purpose of the splay is just to make it a little more stable when you're standing on it. Doesn't really need to be this wide.
It prevents side-to-side rocking, right? By splaying it.
Well, that's what I mean. It makes it more stable when you're standing on it. So if you're right out here in the end, you don't have any chance that it's going to tip over that way. But it's splayed a little more than I want. I'll reduce that just a little bit. So Oh, yeah. The last little thing I want to show you is I just want to give you a progress report on what we're doing on the online workshop. So this is our standing desk, and you can see, Jake, pay attention, how the face that had been oxidized has now caught up with the rest of it. So it really looks really good. You hardly see it at all at certain angles. And then we just finished this one. I actually planed this today when we were filming, so until the oxidation of the cherry catches up with this, but that piece of wood came right out of that section. And then there's your lovely dovetails against the holly background with aspen, solid aspen on the bottom. Just show you a quick look. Love doing this. Favorite part of the whole process is making drawers and then fitting them to perfection. What?
Isn't that a little stiff at the end? Or is that just the air cushion?
It's magic.
Get in there.
It's magic.
I gotta get our knobs in there. Get in there. That actually wasn't. I didn't want that to happen, but yeah, it's not the worst thing that ever happened to you. All right, so here's our piece of pine. By the way, notice how clean the shop is. It happened about 15 minutes ago.
So wait, are we going to do this entirely by hand?
Yes. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. We want to do this so that if you're just getting into this, or if you're in an apartment, you'd be able to do most of it literally in your spare bedroom. So this was just a quick prototype that I whipped together, and I thought, okay, let's see if this works out. What do you think about the width, the length, I should say?
No, I think it's good.
Length is good?
Nice shoes.
Stand on
Yeah, I'm going to do a commercial for those too. Huh? Stand on what?
2 feet. Is it wide enough?
Oh yeah, I mean it's plenty wide. It's really stable, and it's 8 inches high, and I don't think we need to make it any higher than that. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change that splay a little bit. So what we're going to do then is mark these pieces out and get them ripped. Now I was thinking, I said, should I do half of this and have it done so that we can get it all done tonight? But I said, no, what we'll do is if we don't get it finished, we'll carry it on to the next one. Now, this being a piece that I don't know whether or not there's any checks on the end, I'll cut that piece off first. So we got to blast through this. Is Luther on?
I don't see him.
Is Super Dave on? Wasn't gonna be? How come?
Something about playing with his new tool.
All right, so I just cut that piece off. And to find out if there's any checks, you just have to bend it a little bit like that, and if there's a weak spot, it'll show up. That actually wasn't bad. So that's good.
What grade is this pine?
Oh, this is clear, so this would be expensive. Typically what you're going to, well, now usually most places have the option. It's a good question, by the way. You have the option of buying either,
What is the better grade? Is it grade
well, clear pine, that's what that is. Then you're going to do 1 and 2 common, which is going to have some knots, but they're always going to be sound, meaning that's a sound knot. That would be considered a sound knot. All right, now what I'm looking for is my protractor. Actually, I'm going to use my sliding T-bevel because I want to change this angle a little bit.
Oh, Luther is here. He is watching.
Luthi?
Tell Luther to manage the question.
Yeah, Luthi, would you make sure that any questions that get asked
What are you adding?
that are, no, I'm taking away, that are legit, that they get to me, please, so we can address them. Frick doesn't always know. Well, he's an AV guy. Oh, you do, but I've gone back afterwards because I read all the comments, and I sometimes see comments that should have been addressed that weren't. All right, so you're going to want to know 10 degrees is what we're using here. So I'm just going to try to save a bit of time. I'm going to come over about 8 1/4, 8 1/8. Draw a line on here. Now, if I can do it 10. No, you know what? I'll never be able to do that. I was going to try to cut that on a slope so that I wouldn't have to do as much planing. I'll cut a little bit of it. It's getting sticky. So what I'll do is grab a piece of wax. Now the saw is going to be a little bit warm anyway from use, but I'll just run a squiggly line of wax on there, and that'll help lubricate that. It'll get through a little bit easier.
What kind of square is that? The black one there.
What kind is it?
Well, yeah. Who makes it? Is the question.
Stanley.
Stanley.
That the first question we had?
Yeah, a lot of people just saying hi right now. Tony's here.
18. Tony Martin?
Yeah, from Melbourne, and
Australia?
Jim O'Shaughnessy's here from our class.
Oh, Jim.
And George Peters is here from our class.
George.
Paul Morrison's here.
Paul from Montreal? Well, Commander Paul?
Yes.
Paul? Tony? Oh, the guys.
What kind of wax is that? It's candle wax, right?
No, that wax. Very highly skilled and trained Canadian bees do that stuff. Can't buy it everywhere. So we're going to try to keep the number of tools that we use down to a minimum. This is a Lee Nelson crosscut, 12 TPI. That means teeth per inch. That would be one of the more expensive tools we're using. And I'm going to go about 8 1/8. Can't even see that. Okay, now I didn't get that one done. This one needs to be sloped the same direction.
Wait.
What?
Wait. Why isn't that one flat?
Well, what's one with flat?
Why isn't that going? That's going to be the foot, isn't it?
Yeah, the foot has to be at the same angle. All right, there's our 3 pieces. We may need one more for that brace underneath if we get to it. Now, let's go ahead and we got to square these pieces up. I'll use my really long shooting board first to square them up, or to straighten and square the edge. Make sure the blade is parallel to the sole. Now this stuff, you're buying this stuff at the Home Depot or wherever it is you're shopping. Chances are it's not going to come to you terribly flat. That one's actually not bad at all. But you got the right to be fussy and go through and find exactly what you want when you're picking it out. Now, I'm going to check these. reason that needs to be square is because when we do our offset, cutting the dovetails, oh my goodness, come on. I'm sloped this way, so I've got to swing my blade around a little bit to take more off of the bottom. That's better. Turn that around, do the other side. Now, the assumption is that this being 1x12 lumber, the sides are going to be parallel, so I didn't even bother to check it.
Jim wants to know if the shooting board would be okay to leave in the garage for the winter.
Shooting board in the garage.
Also, what plane are you using right now?
And also what?
What plane are you using right now?
That's my 5.5. No, Jim, don't leave the shooting board in the garage. MDF is just too much like a sponge. Put it under your bed. Keep it warm. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and crank these pieces out. Just trying to get that sawing fuzz off. Mm-hmm.
Should you lay the other side down?
Why? Oh, you mean because of the way it's...
Well, look how there's cup that.
The other problem you're going to deal with when you're working with wide, thin pine, it's going to want a cup, but we can pull all that out when we cut the dovetail.
Wait, while you're doing that, Robert Meador bought a shirt, donated money, and David Ducharme
David Ducharme? Yeah, David's in our class.
donated.
David always does. Thank you, David. Thank you, Robert.
Daniel bought T-shirts.
Who did?
Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Norman Olson bought a shirt, and Dale Scott bought a shirt.
Thank you, Norman. And what was the last one? Scott?
Yeah, Dale Scott.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, let's square this end up first. So I want a 10-degree, I said 10-degree, didn't I? I want a 10-degree slope on here. Now I'm going to use my better square because I got to do the rest of this following a line. I'm switching out shooting boards because that one just is long enough and makes it able to deal with a long piece. I'm going to use my regular shooting board for squaring up the ends and cutting the angle. My first child for a pen. There. We're going to hold it like this. So I'll square my line this way. Oh, look at that. That was a pretty good, darn good cut. It's a good, easy to see line. This one wasn't so good. Okay, now I'm going to see on this side, so I'll get my 10-degree slope. What's up, Frick?
Just looking for treats.
Healthy ones?
Of course.
No bad sugar? Did Lincoln go home and confess?
Nope.
A rat? Okay, keep your shooting board clean. Sometimes you got to do that in order to get rid of the gunk that builds up in the corner. Now, I want to have something to hold this. So I'm eyeballing this line. I need a, I wonder if that'll work. That looks really close. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at that line, that 10-degree line that I drew on this side, and I'm just going to line it up with the side of the plane to see if it's close. If it is, it's real easy because I'll be able to do the other side the same way. Now, before I do that, I've got to factor in this other side to avoid tear out. So I'm going to switch this, and I'm going to do lots of commercials tonight. I'm using a PEC square, and we carry the PEC line.
Could you just use your dovetail marker?
It's not a square, but it's a protractor. Pardon?
Your dovetail marker is about 10 degrees, right?
Yeah.
So could you
We could. It's just what's nice is that we've got the flexibility of adjusting it to anything.
I know, but what I mean is with having to flip it back and forth between the ends.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm going to come in here, and on that line, just cut a chamfer, like so. Now we'll put that up there. Now we don't have a whole lot of reference surface here, and I'm just thinking, should we improve that? No, we can't. I don't want to go in there and monkey around with it. So I really only have that little bit supporting it. So if you remember I said earlier, you got to learn to follow your line. So I'm watching that red line I put on there. I'm going to advance my blade so I can get a heavier cut. Now while I'm doing this, I'm watching the line. I'm going to bring the blade in a little bit because I need to keep my planed edge parallel to the line. So it's constantly looking at and just figuring out, is the distance from the edge to the line the same here as it is there? If it isn't, then you make a little adjustment. Maybe you're going to plane from here to here and pull off, do another one, and then eventually drag it out there so that you're taking your edge and you're moving it like this or moving it like that, depending on what you have to do. Charlie knows. Charlie Ray's on.
Carl Cooper says, "Hi, it's Carl from Tejas."
Carl from Tejas.
You're a little heavy for one, too.
Howdy, Carl. Carl used to be a regular. Haven't heard much from him. Okay, so there's my slope. I followed the line. I followed my line. That's all I have to do. Said to pay attention to that line.
Got a question?
Yeah.
If your angle is off a little on the shooting board, can you adjust the blade laterally to get dialed in?
Sorry, I was thinking about Carl. Say that again.
If your angle is off a little on the shooting board, can you adjust the blade laterally to get dialed in?
Yeah, that's what I had to do. That's what I had to do. So when I was planing the edge of that board, the edge, and it wasn't square, I had to go in, I had to shift the blade like this. I had to take a little more off the bottom. So by lifting like that, the bottom blade sticks out. So you're taking an uneven shaving, but you're matching with what's happening. Okay, so get in here. Did you say Carl from Tejas, or did he?
He did. He said, "Tell Rob it's Carl from Tejas."
I should have told. If I'd have known, Dave would have come in. Okay, same idea. Now I'm a little heavier at the bottom. The angle is a little bit splayed out, so I'm working the bottom on this cut. I'll eventually get to the top. Now I've got more down here than I do up here, so that's why the half stroke starting at about the middle until it looks like I'm catching up. And then I'll go back to a full length. Now you understood what I did. I cut a little chamfer there so as not to blow out the end. Now actually I got more here.
Still more toward you.
I don't know, Jake. Still have ink down there too. Ink and ink. Yeah, I'm done. Because the chamfer's gone all the way through. Okay. Now this one. Which one did we cut? So this is where I got to be able to match those angles, and it won't be able to work quite so well. Oh, there's a bad cup in that. So I really need to be able to plane that like that so I can push down and take that cup out like so. But that's the wrong side. So how are we going to do this? If I plane like that, I can come out here in the end. And I'll clamp a piece of something on there to pull that out. It's not hard to pull a cup out. It's relatively easy. I just need to have something that I can clamp right against that to straighten that out. What have I got here? There, a piece of catalogs. That's better. Could be even better. So what we'll do is we'll put, what have we got? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I got us a couple pieces of cardboard, but that'll work. That's pretty good. Okay, so now I lay that down there. I got to draw my line. Got to draw my line on here.
Just a couple more hellos. Rick from Tallahassee says hello.
Hey, Rick. Rick's coming up in October.
And Doc Bailey from the April 2017 class says hello. And Charles Rosnovac.
Doc was one of our combat wounded vets. He was a Navy corpsman. Corpsman attached to the Navy. Marines?
Keith Wares says to let Jake know he's going to the Brazilian steak on Wednesday if he wants to join him.
Who
Said
is?
he'll even buy. Keith Wares.
Tell him not to go without me.
Okay, we get on here. Now, got to do this one a little bit differently. I'll get started and then I'll amend it as we go. Okay, that's too high. So I got to come back. But in order to do that, I got to move this back. Huh?
That's not sitting.
It's what?
That's not sitting flat.
What isn't?
It's not sitting flat on that piece of MDF.
It's sitting flat here. So that I only need 1 point out there to hold it in position. Okay, so that needs to sit lower. So, yeah, what have I got? That's 1 inch. I need. No. Up just a hair. Okay, that looks good. We're clean all the way. Now, okay, might as well do the other side too. So this is going to sit. This is going to sit like this. So this one needs to be measure down 8 inches. Oh, shoot. Well, all I can do is get as much as I can. And this is going to be the point, so I got to get beyond this torn stuff. Quiet. No. Frick, you paying attention?
I am.
Everybody in holiday mode? Is there anybody out there?
Yeah, we got almost 300. Ernie says good evening from South Carolina.
Who is it?
Ernie Green.
Ernie?
Derek from Bishop, California. His name's not on here, just a username, but he just wanted to say thank you for all the help you gave him. And yes, I remember to mark the waste. And he was in the class in 2018. No name, though.
Someone wanted to know how long the engineering square is and if it's a grade B or higher.
This one? So this is a Starrett. And it's a 12-inch square. And I think if you look on the new, they're like, how much? $700. But we have a PEC that is 80. No, it was seriously. Well, all right, so it's 100, and we've checked them with a 1,000 shim stock, and you can't pull it out anywhere along the lengths. So pretty impressive for 1/7 the cost. Okay, now this is going to be cut like that and hold it up like that. So I need to trim this end, and because it's that much, I'll saw it. I don't have a line going down there. Oh, does that saw nicely. Okay, put our block on. Do this one the opposite way. It's going to take 2 clamps. You got one there, Jake? No, little one. You You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to process this one, just so that we can get somewhere. And if we have time, we'll do the other one. If not, at least we'll have got this one done. So put that piece in. Oh, shoot, that's a ton of wood to move. All right, I have to bring that blade out.